Hey guys, okay, part two of the Hyperspin and Rocketlauncher for MAME setup. We'll go through a couple of different things, and I think where we were last time was I think we were within the Rocketlauncher, and I think we were in the process of pointing Rocketlauncher to Hyperspin. So the way you do that is we'll start here. It's got to be at the global setting here. And within Rocketlauncher, what you would do is you would hit this add new front end, and let's say if you were doing a track mode or you know any of the other ones, you would add them here. So I gave it a name, Hyperspin. I gave it the path, hyperspin.exe, Hyperspin plugins, and again you could do anything else if you wanted. Pinball X, launch box, track mode, etc. would be done here. Anyways, we won't spend any more time there. Let's get back to one thing that I failed to mention last time, and I can't believe I forgot this, is when you're doing your extracting, and I later figured out that I had missed it, is you pull down the 1.3, you extract the 1.3, and then the easiest way to do it is just copy this upgrade zip file to the same location of your Hyperspin, and what you'll end up doing is it'll override this file, and there'll be a couple more files that it overrides, and that'll get you up to the 1.4 version Hyperspin. So that being said, again, we've covered that. The big piece here, and this is one of the last pieces to actually get your MAME working, is you're going to go to your wheel settings, and here's where you would add any wheels if you wanted to. Let's just say you added other emulators. You would set them here, and right now because we're working with MAME, I'll go ahead and show MAME off here. MAME is the wheel itself. These three big pieces here. The executable, you're going to want to point to where your MAME emulator that you pulled down is, and then there's your ROMs directory, and then the zip files or extensions, depending on which ROM set you pull down, and that's going to be the biggest key, is make sure within your MAME you have the same ROM set. If not, you're going to be doing a lot of other troubleshooting here. But again, the Hyper HQ is the big piece. We added this piece again. This was where we started where we left off on the last video. So those are the two big pieces. So now let's launch Hyperspin and see what we have. And I think we're at a point where we're going to be able to see if this is going to work or not pretty quickly. So we'll get that going here. Here's our Hyperspin. Let me turn this down a little bit. It's probably pretty loud here. Okay, so there's our MAME. We're going to bring up our MAME here. We'll get to our MAME. So these things that you see here, you've got the main setting thing. We won't cover themes much, but I may look over them a little bit. I'm doing an overview, but we're not really going to concentrate too much on themes right now because we're trying to get the game running, obviously. So right now, as you can see, I've added themes and I've added videos, and these you can pull them from hyperspin-fe.com. And if you pay, again, the platinum membership, you can get the videos and the other stuff as well. So we'll go ahead and launch Bad Dude, see if we get this working. So once we're in, let's see here. Give it a second here. Everything else got all this other stuff open down here, so I don't know what's happening here. So go ahead and get that going. Okay, so as you can see, it took it a second. Probably just got the recording stuff, and I got all this other stuff. This is not the machine that I've got this on is not an ideal Hyperspin machine. I mean, it'll work for MAME, and it'll work for some of the lighter emulators, but once you start getting into, let's say, some of the other like the Demule, the Dolphin, some of the other stuff that guys on the groups normally use or post, you'll want something a little bit more robust than this. This is, I think, just a regular Pentium 4. It's like a Core Duo. I think it's like 2.8 gigahertz. It's only like 4 gigs of RAM, and it's good enough to run MAME and anything below it, so you can tell. But it's not something that I would use if you're gonna have it. If you're gonna drop it in a cabinet I wouldn't do that. So let me get out of that. Obviously, it does work, and you know, it's going to be a lot of trial and error here. You know, for the most part, I know that's been part of the frustration with some of you guys. It's like, man, how do I get this stuff working? You know, that's part of the problem, right? It's getting them working, get everything working. But it comes a lot with it does have a lot to do with you know, taking your time watching some of the videos that are out there, that'll give you a little more information on how to set different ones up. And I think MAME is the one I started with, so I installed that system first, and then I kind of worked my way in with other emulators like Dolphin, Demule, you know, the list goes on and on. Genesis, Nintendo emulator, Natopia. There's a whole bunch of different ones out there, but this is a good starting point to at least get you going. Here, let's see if we can go through some of this real fast. So we're talking about media, and I know somebody was asking, hey, where do I drop the themes and stuff? So Hyperspin has a media directory. This main menu is when you boot it up and you saw the MAME and you saw the different wheels. This is to make the changes here, and here are the themes that are set for those. If you look at the video snaps, let me see if we can view them. Like, I guess because I installed this other one, I'm gonna be able to look at those. Yeah, that's not gonna work. No, that's pretty bad at that size. Anyways, we'll get back out of this. But here's where you would do it. For MAME, if you're gonna add videos, you'll add them here. I've added quite a bit. On some of the ones that I had, the themes, the same. You know, you could pull these themes from the same site, and again, with the Platinum membership, you get the FTP access. You get access to a lot of this. And there's quite a bit here. And then again, your ROMs directory. Let's get back out. So that's basically the media portion of it. Emulators. And there's all our ROMs. Bad Dudes is in here somewhere. These are all zip files, and depending on how you pull them down, here's what you have. But anyways, guys, that kind of wraps it up. You know, again, a quick overview. This is the Hyper HQ. Make sure you get these set in place, the executable to the ROM path, and then the extension. Make sure you get that here. Make sure you set this in place. This is actually telling Rocketlauncher, hey, look at my Hyperspin, and then so you'll be pointed in that direction. And then to go over this real quick, on Hyperspin itself, you also have your settings .ini file, and here's kind of the same thing you would do. You would tell Hyperspin to look at Rocketlauncher at this location. They still show it as Hyperlaunch, I guess, as they haven't updated this. Anyways, but I think that's gonna do it, guys. I think this is everything. Again, I appreciate your time and checking this out. We are on the Hyperspin Retro Pi Arcades Worldwide Facebook group, so feel free to ask any questions there. I'm sure there's tons of guys on there that have a lot of good information, and they've always been really helpful with a lot of stuff, and that's where I know them. I know them from other groups as I see them. They post stuff, and I've asked questions in other groups. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to make this group a little bit different and bring all these some pros in, and then, you know, opening it up for some people that are just learning about these different systems. And I think that's the key right there, is to kind of bring each other up, and that's been kind of the primary focus, which is why I hope that most people that join don't hesitate to ask, you know, these type of questions, even if the questions seem silly, or, you know, I'm a noob or whatever most people post on there. But hey, we all started somewhere, and we all started there, and I hope you guys take this video, and again, appreciate the feedback. I'll post it on the group site, and then go from there. Talk to you guys soon. Cheers.